Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis discussion brought to you by ForumIAS for the date 19th Feb 2023. So, the list of news articles for today's discussion is displayed here. The aspirants can have a look at it. So, for today, we will be covering 5 topics from science and technology, governance, and economics. So, with this, straight away, let us move to the first topic for the day. Now, coming to the first article, how is the stock market regulated in India? See, this news article is about the stock market in India. In this news discussion, let us know about the share market and the related terms in detail. Here, I will be discussing the terms one by one. First, we will see what is stock market, then about demat, depositories, clearing houses, and what is a commodities market. Lastly, we can see about SEBI so that you could answer some prelims based question from the topic. Only if you understand these terms, you will understand what is said in the article. First is about the stock market. See, in a financial system, there are areas from where we can raise money for investments. These areas are called financial markets. That is, the financial markets are like all other markets where buying and selling takes place. But instead of the usual things like goods, here, that is in the financial market, money and other financial assets are traded. Know that there are two different markets in financial systems. They are money market and the capital market. See, money market is the place where one can get credit for short-term basis. Short-term basis in the sense, financial assets are traded for a maturity period that is less than a year. That is, we raise credit by issuing some authorized documents to some class of people and we have to repay those credit within a period of 1 year. Example of such documents includes T-bills, that is treasury bills, certificate of deposits, etc. When we come to capital market, same things happen here. That is, we raise fund here by issuing authorized documents or papers, but for a long-term basis. Hence, we can say that capital market is characterized by long-term financial assets like bonds, debentures, etc. This market is crucial for our economy because it provides the financial resources required for long-term sustainable development of the economy. And this stock market that we are discussing here comes under this category only. As a whole, the capital market consists of development banks, commercial banks, and the stock exchanges. Know that our Indian capital market are regulated and monitored by Ministry of Finance, the SEBI, and the RBI. So in short, know that stock market is a place where long-term credits are raised. That's enough. Second is about the demat. See, demat refers to dematerialized account. Just as we open a bank account in financial institutions to save money and make payments, we need to open a demat account now to buy and sell securities in the stock market. That's it. Know that demat account is a requirement that is mandated by SEBI, and in the demat account only, shares and securities that we trade in stock markets are held electronically. That is, the demat accounts consist of the shares and securities in an electronic format. So instead of physically holding the shares or any legal documents, the investors hold it in an electronic format using this demat account. Third is the depositories. See, depositories are like banks where the securities like shares, debentures, bonds, and government securities are deposited in the electronic form. And know that depositories is compared with a bank because it holds the fund for depositors. There are many other similarities in banks and depositories. That is, banks transfer money without having to handle money, right? Likewise, depository facilitates transfer of ownership without having to handle securities. And while banks keep deposited money safely, depositories keep securities in that way. Know that in India, we have two depositories. They are National Securities Depository Limited and the Central Depository Services Limited. Fourth is about the clearing houses. See, they are like department in stock exchange, like a separate legal entity that provides various services related to the clearance and settlement of trades. And it is also responsible for managing risk associated with the resulting contracts. In other words, a clearing house is often the central counterparty to all trades. That is, they act like an intermediary between the buyer and the seller in the stock market. The clearing house then validates and finalizes the transactions and makes sure that both the buyer and seller of the securities fulfill their contractual obligations. Fifth is about the commodities market. See, commodities market are similar to stock market trading, but in stock market we saw shares, securities, debentures, bonds are traded, right? But in commodities market, commodities or physical goods such as corn, silver, gold, crude oil, and so on are traded. Here, physical trading and derivatives trading in commodities market can include spot prices, forwards, on futures as well. We shall be discussing about these terms in upcoming current affairs session anytime if we have any news regarding these. As of now, know that commodities market is all about a platform where commodities or physical goods are traded. Sixth and the final one is about the SEBI. See, we saw about capital market, and within that we saw about stock market, clearing houses, commodities market and all, right? We came to know all these involves money transaction and also transfer of legal documents. So for all these things to happen in a legal and a correct way, we need to have some institutions to monitor. That kind of institution is SEBI. See, SEBI stands for Securities and Exchange Board of India. Know that it is the India's Securities and Commodity Market Regulator, and SEBI is a statutory body that is established with the provision of Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992. See, initially SEBI was a non-statutory body without any statutory power, but it became autonomous and was given statutory power by the SEBI Act of 1992. The headquarters of SEBI is situated in Mumbai, and there are regional offices of SEBI in Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Chennai and Delhi. Know that SEBI's fundamental function is to protect the interest of investors in securities. In addition to it, it also encourages the growth of stock market in the country through regulation and monitoring of securities market. With these information in mind, let us get into the article. We all came to know about the Hindenburg report, right? In that report, they said that Adani enterprises have involved in illegal activities in order to increase their share value in stock market. So as a response to this allegation, the Supreme Court has asked the SEBI and the government to let the people know about SEBI's existing regulatory framework, so that we can know what provisions are there in that regulatory framework that can protect investors from share market volatility and fluctuations. See, the article says that as of now, the security market in India is regulated by 4 laws. They are Companies Act, SEBI Act, Securities Contract Act and Depositories Act of 1996. Let us see what are the purpose of these legislations one by one. If we take the Companies Act of 2013, the act regulates the companies that are registered in India. To enforce some of its provisions, this law has delegated the authority to SEBI. Provisions include regulation of raising capital, corporate governance norms, and resolution of investor grievances are now enforced by SEBI. And in that manner only, SEBI has come up with a set of guidelines called Disclosure and Investor Protection Guidelines. Using these guidelines, SEBI began to regulate fundraising activities. Next, if we take the SEBI Act of 1992, we already saw SEBI got the statutory status from this law, and this law only empowers SEBI in doing many other regulatory work. That is, this act empowers SEBI to register intermediaries. That is, this act empowers SEBI to register intermediaries like stockbrokers. That is, this act empowers SEBI to register intermediaries like stockbrokers, merchant bankers, portfolio managers, and regulate their functioning as well. In addition to it, SEBI can impose penalties such as monetary penalties, including suspending or cancelling the registration itself. Then comes the Securities Contract Regulation Act of 1956. This act also empowers SEBI, and through this act, SEBI recognizes and de-recognizes stock exchanges, and it can also provide rules and bylaws for stock market functioning. One of its primary tasks is to regulate trading, clearance, and settlement on stock exchanges. When we come to the Depositories Act, know that it was introduced to give legal sanctions to dematerialized securities that are held in the electronic format. And finally, the article talks about Securities Appellate Tribunal. See, this SAT is a statutory body that is established under the SEBI Act of 1992. The main purpose of this appellate tribunal is to hear and dispose appeals against the orders passed by the SEBI. And the SEBI Act has given it certain jurisdiction, powers and authorities which will be exercised by the Securities Appellate Tribunal. So that is all about the article. In this discussion, we dealt what is capital market comprehensively. So with this, let us finish the topic and move to the second one. Why environmental surveillance for avian influenza is vital. See, recently the Bass Rock Island, which is close to Scotland, got infected by avian influenza, that is H5N1 or bird flu, and because of this, thousands of birds in the UK died, and the disease spread involved intramammal transmission of H5N1. So it is said to be a major concern as the latest major avian flu outbreak in India happened in the year 2020 to 21. In India, we should know that bird flu spread through many states and that led to the death of large number of wild birds. So in this line, the article talks about the need for monitoring and surveillance of the disease. But before knowing what is said in the article, let us know about avian influenza from prelims perspective. See, bird flu or avian influenza is a disease caused by avian influenza type A viruses. This avian influenza type A viruses are found naturally in wild birds. And the virus we are talking about can infect domestic poultry including chickens, ducks, turkeys. And there have been reports of H5N1 infections among pigs, cats and even tigers in Thailand zoos. If we take infections in humans, there have been reports of avian and swine influenza infections in humans including H1N1, H1N2 as well as H5N1. The first report of human H5N1 infection that caused bird flu was in the year 1997. Moreover, the infection is deadly as it has high mortality rate of about 60%. When we talk about the transmissions to human, the most common route of transmission is direct contact. That is when a person comes in close contact with infected birds, either dead or alive. Know that the humans can also be infected if they come in contact with the contaminated surfaces or air near the infected poultry. But there is no sufficient evidence for the spread of the virus through properly cooked meat. Moreover, the case of human-to-human transmission of this H5N1 virus are very rare. If we take the case of India, migratory birds have been largely responsible for the spread of virus into India during the winter season. And it spread further through movement of local residential birds and poultry. But in this article, the bird flu in the UK happened in the annual congregation on breeding grounds. That is where the birds come together to breed in a particular place at a particular time. This breeding place and event quickly turned into a super spreader event. This is because H5N1 is highly pathogenic, leaving many birds lying dead on beaches or remote islands. In India, we saw the avian flu outbreaks coincide with the peak migratory season. And the article also highlights that India is the fastest growing egg producer in the world, and moreover, poultry birds here are not vaccinated against flu. So this raises concern on how we are going to handle any bird flu if it occurs in India. In addition to all these, the article says that we do not have any active surveillance in the poultry sector. So as of now, even containing human-to-human transmission of bird flu or any related diseases can be challenging. For this only, the article suggests for pathogen surveillance. So the government can fulfill the objectives that is enlisted under One Health program. See, this One Health concept is an approach that recognizes the health of people is closely connected to the health of animals. So by protecting the health of animals around us, the concept says we can protect our health also. Keeping that in mind, the article recommends environmental surveillance. Such surveillance can help in providing near real-time information on health and community exposure to the pathogens. See, birds infected with avian influenza virus shed large quantities of virus in their saliva or in their feces through animal waste. And this virus will remain for a week in those animal wastes. In addition to it, when these waste get mixed with the local ponds or lakes, even the water body becomes infected by the H5N1 virus and it begins to host the virus. Studies also suggest that avian influenza virus can remain active for extended period of time in surface water and even in the dead bodies of the infected birds. And the domestic ducks are also said to be the reservoir of the virus. So by this information, we can see how diverse is the source of the virus. So in order to monitor it, environmental surveillance is very important. See, environmental surveillance is nothing but collecting and analyzing samples of air, water, soil, and other medium to check whether there is any virus contamination in the environment or not. By this environmental surveillance, the information on prevalence of any avian influenza viruses in various sectors can be tracked, and according to the prevalence of the virus, the government can take decision. And before concluding the article, It suggests that waste collection and testing should be, that is, the animal waste collection and testing should be done effectively alongside this environmental surveillance. So that is all about the article. Let us close this topic and move to the next one. Third topic, FCI2E Auction 11.72 lakh tons of wheat to bulk consumers. The news is that FCI is taking steps to sell nearly 25 lakh tons of wheat to bulk consumers under the open market sales scheme. This is done to reduce the food inflation in the economy, as the open sale of wheat in the market will meet the demand supply gap and thereby restrict the price rise of the food grain. So from that news, let us know what is this open market sale scheme and also about FCI, that is the Food Corporation of India, from Prelims and Mains angle. First, let us see about open market sale scheme. In our previous discussion on current affairs, we have already learnt that MSP, we have already learnt about the MSP and how the government buys the food grains from the farmers. In that, we saw FCI plays a major role in it. That is, this FCI procures the food grains from the market at MSP and it stores those food grains in its godowns. Then, as a food security measure, the government will distribute those food grains at a very cheaper price through fair price shops. But you have to know that the government will not completely distribute all the food grains. Rather, the government will store a part of food grains as a buffer stock so that it could be utilized to counter inflation and also during low harvest season. Likewise, government will make use of the buffer stock for distributing it to the people. This open market sales scheme is also like that only. Here, the FCI uses these buffer stocks to address inflation. See, in the open market sales scheme, FCI sells surplus stocks of wheat and rice at a predetermined prices through e-auction from time to time. Through this route, the government will make sure that there is adequate supply of food grains in the market. Ensure other benefits also. That is, by selling it in the open market, the storage cost of these buffer stocks for FCI will also come down. And even the wastage of these food grains in the FCI godowns can be prevented. As said earlier, the purpose of this scheme is to dispose surplus stock of wheat and rice held by the FCI and to regulate the prices of these food grains in the market. And for that, FCI conducts weekly auction for the scheme for wheat on the platform of National Commodity and Derivatives Exchange Limited. Know that NCDEX is a commodity exchange platform in India that provides a platform for trading in various agricultural and other commodities. So in short, food security, inflation control, storage cost reduction, as well as wastage prevention are attained through open market sales scheme. Now coming to the FCI, see, the FCI is a government-owned corporation that manages the food security system in India. And this FCI is a statutory body constituted under Food Corporations Act of 1964. See, this body is set to implement the food policy of Government of India, and its primary purpose includes purchase, storage, movement, distribution and sale of food grains and other foodstuffs. In addition to it, the FCI also maintains buffer stocks of food grains to ensure food security during times of scarcity or crisis. Know that FCI is also responsible for distributing food grains throughout the country for public distribution system. If we take the objectives, FCI ensure minimum support price to the farmers and to maintain buffer stocks of food grains and distribution of food grains under National Food Security Act of 2013, FCI has been constituted. Know that they also intervene in the market for price stabilization. This is all about the topic. So in this topic, we saw what is open market sales scheme as well as about Food Corporation of India. So with this, let us complete this here and move to the fourth topic. Government taps consultants to monetize land. We know that the Indian government is working towards achieving the target of $5 trillion economy by the year 2025. For that, robust infrastructure is needed, right? Keeping that in mind, the Government of India came up with the National Infrastructure Pipeline in order to raise funds for infrastructure. In that way, the budget 2021 to 2022 promoted asset monetization as one of the pillars for sustainable financing of infrastructure needs. This news article is regarding that only. See, the government, to fasten the process of asset monetization, it came up with an institution called National Land Monetization Corporation. Know that this corporation involves in temporary allocation of government assets like land, building assets of central public sector enterprises and other government agencies to private players. The current news is that this National Land Monetization Corporation has decided to engage with international property consultancy firms to help NLMC to strategize and implement transactions from start to finish. So, from this topic discussion, let us see what is this National Infrastructure Pipeline, asset monetization, and also about the National Land Monetization Corporation. See, as per the Global Infrastructure Outlook of the year 2017, which was published by Oxford Economics, the estimated global infrastructure investment required is $94 trillion during the period of 2016 to 2040. And to realize the vision of $5 trillion economy by 2025, it is estimated that India would need to spend nearly $4.51 trillion on infrastructure by the year 2030. For that to happen, the government has devised a plan called National Infrastructure Pipeline. See, NIP is an initiative to provide world-class infrastructure across the country and to provide quality of life for all its citizens. See, it is said that to improve project preparation as well as to attract investments into infrastructure, NIP was constituted. In addition to it, this National Infrastructure Pipeline will be crucial for attaining the target of $5 trillion economy by the fiscal year 2025. Know that it has greater significance as NIP covers both economic as well as social infrastructure projects. Using this NIP, the government plans to invest nearly 111 lakh crore as a total capital expenditure in infrastructure sector during the fiscals of 2020 to 2025. If we see the sector-wise breakup of National Infrastructure Pipeline, sectors such as energy will be provided with 24% of funds, roads will have 18% of funds, urban will be provided with 17% of NIP funds, and railways will be allotted with 12% of NIP investments. And if we take the share of center, state and private sector in NIP implementation, the center will contribute 39% of funds, while the state governments will contribute 40% of NIP funds, and the private sector will make up to 21% of NIP finance. That is all about NIP. In addition to it, the task force headed by Attanu Chakravarti on National Infrastructure Pipeline recommended few other measures to raise the capital for infrastructure financing. Firstly, like aggressive push towards asset sales. Secondly, the task force said monetization of infrastructure assets are needed. Then it also recommended for setting up development financial institutions. In this news article, we saw that asset monetization is recommended, right? Let us discuss about that alone. See, the asset monetization is nothing but a procedure that is followed to convert tangible or intangible asset into a source of revenue generation. In asset monetization, the government share or gives its assets such as roads, coal mines temporarily to private players for a specified period of time in exchange of lump sum payment. And at the end of the period mentioned in the terms and conditions, the asset will be returned to the government. Know that unlike in privatization, no sale of government asset is involved here, and the ownership of the asset is with the government only. Even while transferring the asset for private use, the ownership will be with the government only. But the thing is, the privates can make use of it for doing their business and earn profit using the government assets. The gain for the government is that by monetizing asset it has already built, the government can earn revenues to build more infrastructure. And know that asset monetization will happen mainly in three sectors like roads, railways and power. Other assets will also be monetized like airports, ports, telecom, stadiums and power transmission. That is what asset monetization means. And additional information is that government has come up with national monetization pipeline for a 4-year period to raise capital of rupees 6 lakh crore. See, this NMP, that is the National Monetization Pipeline, was announced in the budget 2021 to 2022, through which the government aims to acquire a capital of nearly 6 lakh crore. By using this fund, the government aims to invest in infrastructure in the country and to stimulate economic growth. As per the plan, private firms can invest in project for a fixed return using the Infrastructure Investment Trust. Here, privates can operate and develop the government assets for a certain period, and after getting profits through user charges, the assets have to be transferred back to the government agency. This is how asset monetization works under National Monetization Pipeline. And if we come to the National Land Monetization Corporation, see, in the same budget 2021 to 2022, Ministry of Finance said that there will be a special purpose vehicle to carry out this monetization program. To fulfill that, government came up with National Land Monetization Corporation. See, this NLMC will be a firm that is fully owned by the Government of India, and know that it will fall under the administrative jurisdiction of Ministry of Finance. Also, it will be set up with an initial authorized share capital of 5,000 crores and a paid up capital of rupees 150 crore. If we take the function, this NLMC will carry out monetization of government and public assets in the form of surplus, unused or underused land assets. In addition to it, it will also act as an advisory body and also support other government entities and central public sector enterprises in identifying their surplus non-core assets and help them in monetizing. Thirdly, NLMC will act as a directory of best practices in land monetization. That is, it will hold information on best practices to be followed for an efficient monetization program. So that is all about this article. So in this article, we saw the need for infra financing and also about national infrastructure pipeline, asset monetization, and also about national monetization pipeline. So with this, let us close this topic and move to the final topic of the day. Coming to the final topic, tapping the potential of niche villages in a push for rural tourism. This news article is about the tourism sector in the country. Here, the article begins by mentioning niche areas in the country. Accordingly, the article talks about Mattur village in the state of Karnataka, where it says residents of Mattur village speak only in Sanskrit language. Secondly, it mentions about Bishnoi village in Rajasthan, which witnesses the arrival of great Indian bustard. Likewise, it says Tamil Nadu's Kolukumalai is the highest tea plantation in the world. Then it also says Kerala's Devalokam is a yoga center on the banks of a river. And Nagaland's Konyak tea retreats take visitors on a trip through tribal culture. Then finally, it talks about Pochampalli village in the state of Telangana, which showcases its traditional weaving techniques. By mentioning these niche areas, the article highlights the potential of rural tourism in the country. And with such diverse nature of Indian geography and culture, government can make use of promoting tourism in the country. The government can make use of it by promoting tourism in the country. And moreover, this type of rural tourism does not need much of infrastructure financing and participation of private sector. So the government is keen on taking steps to improve it. For that, rural tourism and rural homestay has been constituted. This is the central nodal agency, and it acts as a coordinating body among center, states and other stakeholders. In addition to it, the central agency has identified 6 niche experiences for tourists. They are agri-tourism, art and culture, eco-tourism, wildlife, tribal tourism and homestays. And now the Ministry of Tourism is in the process of formulating a budget. Alongside this finance mechanism, the ministry is also in process of proposing some training modules at district levels. Before all that, identifying individual villages and cluster of villages that has high potential for tourism development is important, right? The central government agency has asked the state governments to do that. And the Ministry of Rural Development has also been asked to analyze the possibility of creating assets under MGNREGA. This is to ensure tourist infrastructure in the rural areas. In addition to it, the government is also planning to include organic agricultural areas for development as rural tourist spots. So this is all about the article, but while mentioning the organic agricultural areas, the article refers to Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. We will know about that in brief. See, Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana is related to organic farming, and know that it is a component of soil health management under a project called National Mission of Sustainable Agriculture. Under this PKVY, organic farming is promoted. Under this PKVY scheme, organic farming is promoted through adoption of organic villages by cluster approach. And the objective of the scheme is to promote commercial organic production through certified organic farming. Secondly, this scheme makes the produce free from pesticide residue and thereby contributes improving consumer health. Thirdly, the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana helps in raising farmers' income and create potential market for traders. Finally, the scheme is set to motivate the farmers for using natural resources for input production. So that is all about the article. In this article, we saw about the need and the potential that India has in transforming rural terrorism and the steps that are taken by the government, and also about the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. So with this, let us close the news articles discussion for the day and move to the prelims and mains question discussion. Now coming to the first prelims question, with reference to Securities and Exchange Board of India, consider the following statements. First statement says it is a statutory body. Second statement says it is a quasi-legislative and quasi-judicial body. Third statement, its headquarters, that is its head office, is located in New Delhi. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The options given are option A, 1 and 3 only, option B, 1 and 2 only, option C, 2 and 3 only, option D, 1, 2 and 3. First it says it is a statutory body. This statement is correct. In our discussion we saw SEBI is established under the SEBI Act of 1992 and it comes under the control of Ministry of Finance. And then according to several acts which gives power to the SEBI, we saw it is a quasi-executive, quasi-legislative and quasi-judicial body. So this statement is also correct. But if we take the head office of SEBI is located in Mumbai and not in Delhi. So this statement is wrong. If you know this statement alone, you can eliminate all three options and you can come to the conclusion option B, 1 and 2 is correct. So now moving to the second question, which of the following scheme or schemes implemented by government to doubling the income of farmers? First, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. The options given are option A, 1 only, option B, 1 and 2 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, option D, 1, 2 and 3. In our discussion, we saw Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana is related to organic farming. So by reducing the cost of input, the profit margin as well as the income of the farmers is set to increase. So by that way, this scheme aims for increasing and doubling the income of farmers. So second one is correct. It has to be either B or C. So if we take the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, this scheme is related to water use efficiency. So this also aims to expand cultivated area with assured irrigation and reduce the wastage of water. So by that way, this scheme is also contributing to doubling the farmers' income. So first one is also right. Now if we take the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, this mission is one of the 8 missions under National Action Plan on Climate Change. This focuses on integrated farming, water usage efficiency, soil health management and many more. So by that way, the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture also aims to double the income of farmer. So the answer for this question is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Now moving to the mains question, what is National Infrastructure Pipeline? Discuss its needs and significance in light of India's aim to become a $5 trillion economy. Aspirants can take note of this question. You can write the answer and post it in the comment section so that we could have a peer review of it. So we have come to the end of today's news analysis discussion. If you can understand the concept well, and if you like the way I'm teaching, please like, comment, share and subscribe to Forum IAS Academy. Thank you.